Georgia, we see domestic violence. We see gun violence. The leading cause of death for young people in Georgia isn't car crashes, it's firearms. That's why Governor Kemp's new gun law that makes it easier for criminals to carry loaded guns in public is not only irresponsible, it's directly harmful to Georgia's children and families. This is a guy who pointed a gun at a boy on television. Enough is enough.
How can I approve this message?
Closed captioning for News 12 is brought to you by Kenneth Nugent.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
It is a brand new three-way stop. Some seem to either not know is there or simply don't care. It's off I-20 heading near the new Amazon centers.
We just want people to be aware of the new stop signs as they make their way through the project zone.
Yeah, that was a truck blowing right through that intersection while we were doing the interview today. What we found out about that new traffic pattern coming up right here.
Yesterday, we told you some drought conditions were starting to pop up, causing some water restrictions locally. But outside, tonight's rain and through the rest of the week, some of those showers we're expecting could help with those drought conditions. But first, we are continuing our coverage on abortion law changes across the two states. New at 6 o'clock, South Carolina officials say a 12-person committee of lawmakers will meet back at the State House next Thursday to talk about removing any exceptions or possibly banning abortions completely.
Today in South Carolina, Governor McMaster is speaking for the first time since a federal judge allowed South Carolina's abortion restriction law to take effect last night. Meanwhile, we've seen dozens of protesters at the State House, both for and against abortion. Officials from Planned Parenthood say they're heartbroken over stories women are already being turned away. Others, including Governor McMaster, say instead of banning abortions after 6 weeks, the state needs to ban them altogether.
Over the years, the country has drifted towards abortions. We need to drift the other way. And I look forward to the day that nobody wants an abortion in South Carolina. We won't need exceptions.
In Georgia, legal experts say the battle could come down to privacy laws in the state's constitution. If a court decides abortions covered under the privacy law in Georgia, banning or restricting abortion could be tough. That decision would be up to Georgia's state Supreme Court.
Looking across the country, these are the states who either have abortion restrictions and bans in place already or expect to really soon. And that affects 34 million women of reproductive age. The green states are protecting abortion, or where it's at least legal right now. That covers more than 37 million women. But that number could drop with 11 million women living in states who could change laws depending on November's midterm elections. The big question for us right here in the two state is how and if the laws will be enforced. Our Craig Allison live in the newsroom now with what he's been able to find out today. Craig?
Well, like y'all have been saying, things are moving really fast for South Carolina. Just yesterday, the Fetal Heartbeat Act took effect, preventing abortions after fetal heartbeat is detected, usually around 6 weeks, and with a 20-week exception for cases involving rape or incest. And time is important. Both the Aiken County Sheriff's Office and South Carolina Solicitor Bill Weeks say with this law being so new, they're unable to comment on how they'll be enforcing this or what punishment would be for breaking it. Our nearest SC abortion clinic in Aiken, Life Choices Pregnancy Care Center, was unable to comment. The Medical University of South Carolina says their attorneys are still sorting it all out, and they'll have an update tomorrow on how this will affect their patients. On the Georgia side, it's a bit more complicated. Augusta's District Attorney Jared Williams says his office is refusing to prosecute people who seek, assist, or provide abortions. He says his priority is focusing on violent crime affecting the city. When we reached out to the Richmond County Sheriff's Office about how this relationship would work, they had no comment. The South Carolina committee chair says one of their first actions will be to hear public testimony. The entire General Assembly is expected to come together later this year to pass the changes the committee writes up next week.
All right, Craig, certainly a story we will be staying on top of. Thank you for breaking that down for us. Outside, it's a little drizzly. About 10 minutes, guys. Back to you.
Today, family of one of three teenagers shot and killed in Aiken gave us some photos of the 17-year-old Willie Garrett. We've reached out to family of the other two victims, 16-year-old Cameron Carroll and Ivan Perry, for photos and to find out more about exactly who they were.
Right now, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office is still looking for two suspects in connection to the shooting. They already have 18-year-old Xavier Bailey in custody. He's expected to be charged with 3 counts of murder. They say 20-year-old Alvin Artis is still on the run. They're also looking for a 15-year-old suspect, but we don't have a picture of him since he's a minor. Deputies say the shooting happened Sunday on Wadley Drive. If you know anything about the case, call the Sheriff's Office. Our Claire Allen is here with us live in the studio. So Claire, you can tell us about the local program you spent the day working with, helping dealing with gun violence and tragedies just like this one.
This month is also Gun Violence Awareness Month. One of the ways a local nonprofit group is raising awareness is by having people wear orange. They're also making it their mission to build a bridge to help carry our youth to success and away from crime.
You still can see the hurt because nobody ever prepared themselves for a murder.
The nonprofit bridge hosted an open forum where people from all parts of the CSRA joined together to pray and rally against gun violence.
I'm always bringing awareness to how it affects not just the individual, but both families and the community as a whole.
But she's calling for more people to be praying, more people to be working, and showing the love that's out there to the young people who are hurting before they ever make those bad decisions that make them come to my office.
These people are never coming back home.
Kenya Crumley says one bullet can have an everlasting effect.
It's always a wound, and it really would take, by the grace of God, for that wound to be healed.
Willie Powell is a Burke County native who now lives in Augusta. He shared that gun violence has taken away 2 members of his family. He said the hurt doesn't get any easier.
Sadness or that burden on you because you want to know how would this person have been for me to grow up with.
But we know the problem. We got to find a solution. But with this solution, it's going to take all of us.
I want a community that's safer, but we cannot do it on our own.
To learn more about Bridge and their projects, you can visit our website for the links.
Claire, thank you. A reminder, polls for South Carolina's runoff election continues in less than an hour. You're going to have to be in line by 7 to vote, and you do need that photo ID. You'll also vote on the party side you chose in the primary. If you didn't vote in the primary, you do have to choose one party or the other. On the Republican ticket, that's going to include the state school superintendent nominee. On the Democratic side, you'll get to vote for the nominee for U.S. Senate. Just off I-20, near exit 183, there's a brand new traffic pattern, a 3-way stop. You'll see it if you're heading to or following, going away from the Amazon Center.
But the problem is, even if you drive in the area all the time, you may not always pay attention to those new signs. And even worse, others are not paying attention either.
We just want people to be aware of the new stop signs as they make their way through the project zone.
Yeah, I don't know if you called that right over the official shoulder. Our Nick Veland was interviewing when this truck, pretty big truck, just blows right through those stop signs we were talking about. Our Nick Veland was there live before the rain rolled in to find out what the issues are with this new stop sign.
Now here is the current situation right now. This area used to flow freely, but now it is stopped. As GDOT uses this as a precaution for what is to come, but as of now, the learning curve for the new adjustment has put people in potentially dangerous situations.
We just want people to be aware of the new stop signs as they make their way through the project zone.
Even as one of GDOT's communication director mentions the need of people to be aware, someone runs the stop sign. The new all-way stop right outside of exit 183 is more about people learning about the change than anything for GDOT.
We just want folks to slow down through the area and be aware that stop signs are in place now.
This exit ramp gets 6,000 to 8,000 travelers a day. Add more developments like Amazon and neighborhoods, GDOT says the need for getting traffic fixed in this area is at an all-time high.
We can't do much about volume in terms of numbers, but we can try to keep them moving as much as possible. And that's what the aim of this project is.
Pound says that this all-way stop is just a step in the right direction so people can learn to slow down in this area.
We've got several milestones or benchmarks for the project. We are hoping to get traffic flipped over to the new bridge by the end of September, with all major tasks completed by the end of 2022.
I stay as far away from this area as possible. It's too soon to tell, and I don't feel like the small stop signs are going to get noticed. Now that's just a few of the comments that I received throughout today. As for now and the rest of the project, Roundabouts are hoping to be put in by the end of 2022. Reporting in Abilene, I'm Nick Feeland on your side.
All right, good morning. Heads up about those new stop signs in Abilene. So chances are you visited Clark's Hill Lake, but you might not know the history there, how nature and 8 years of hard labor created an attraction we all enjoy today. Coming up.
And as you're heading out the door this evening, we do have some heavier showers and storms over Edgefield and Edgefield County. We do have a good thunderstorm over downtown where they're seeing an aerial flood advisory. That is in effect until 7 p.m. this evening. We'll break down the advisory and those rain conditions over the next couple of days coming up next.
Unfortunately, it is trying to rain on the parade at Evans Town Center Park. Hopefully the rain won't stop the party tonight at the Charlie Puth concert, but give me a live look at Evans Town Center Park at the Lady A Pavilion for the pre-party as people with general admission tickets are lined up. You see they came prepared. They have rain slickers, they have umbrellas, and they are ready to do whatever it takes to see a good show tonight. Gates do open in about 15 minutes, and the concert gets going at 8. So we will continue to monitor this. We did speak with the organizers, and they say right now the show is a go. They're continuing to monitor the weather, so we will let you know if that does change.
Those ponchos are a great move. Pretend you're at Disney World. They pack up. They'll fit in your pocketbook later on. And yeah, the portable poncho in use tonight. So the stage is covered, and we need to get a concert in there.
Yeah, Anthony, what's it looking like for Columbia County?
Well, I think we're going to unfortunately see changes turn isolated as we go through Sunday, and on the 4th of July, temperatures slightly warmer into the low 90s.
Thurman Dam has more than 70 years of history in our area. Work started in 1946, and about 8 years later, we got the final product we see out there today.
6 months after finishing the dam, we ended up with Clark's Hill Lake, as our Will Volk shows us. What happened in between that time is where the real story is.
This lake has been around for nearly 7 decades. How did it get here?
This was a huge undertaking.
Scott Hyatt manages Thurman Dam today, and he's familiar with its history. It took 8 years to build this.
There was really nothing here then, so it required them to build almost a small city here.
It's gone now, but this used to be housing built for the project's workers. Those workers extracted tons of rock.
All of the stone that you see around here that's on the faces of the dam around here was all quarried here.
Using that material, they poured the concrete structure we see today. Combined with the dirt embankment, workers created about a mile-long dam.
So they brought in heavy equipment and cleared out all the trees and things so that you wouldn't have stumps and things sticking up as hazards.
In the early 50s, they finished the dam, and Hyatt says it was quicker than expected to fill in the lake.
About 6 months in, after the dam was done, there was an extraordinary storm, filled the lake completely up. So instead of taking 2 years, it took 6 months.
And it's been here ever since, helping to bring power to rural areas and giving us a place to have some fun, too. At the lake, Will Volk, on your side.
So Hyatt says the creation of the lake flooded 3 towns. Of course, they were all evacuated first, but some of those old structures are still down there underwater.
Really cool for scuba divers and lots to check out underwater.
Great history, and I guess a flash flood never came at a more perfect time to
I
fill
guess
up that
so,
lake.
you know?
6
There
months.
You go.
That's a lot of water.
Saving on the water bill there. All right, still to come, nearly $9 million going to AU to help put physicians where they're needed most. How bad they're understaffed in our rural areas and what this money will change coming up.
Compensation you deserve.
So out of 159 Georgia counties, 63 don't have a pediatrician, 54 have no emergency physician whatsoever. This map shows health outcomes broken down by county in Georgia. The darker the color, the lower the life expectancy and the quality of life for the people who live there. You can see our more rural areas are struggling in this area. So earlier this year, we reported $5 million going to AU to help get more medical staff in these rural counties. Wrdw shows us how a new nearly $9 million donation can help even more.
I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get into the workforce as early as possible, and I I saw this program as a really good chance to do that.
Keenan Bickerstaff is a third-year med student at MCG, enrolled in the 3+ primary care pathway program. It allows students who commit to primary care practice in rural or underserved Georgia to graduate in 3 years and immediately enter a residency in Georgia with free tuition.
Everyone wants to be a surgeon these days, but us 7 to now 14-ish students, that's not what we want.
Georgia ranks 39th in physicians for each person in the state.
Getting us in those rural areas, we can really make a change.
In areas like Albany, students will come from Augusta to serve in those under-resourced communities.
The small communities here in Southwest Georgia have historically struggled to recruit and retain.
Their campus serves as a pipeline for students to be planted in rural areas by providing a list of services that some communities don't have access to.
Internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, OB, emergency medicine, general surgery, and psychiatry.
Their hope is students will understand the importance of providing in smaller communities.
A bigger proportion of them will ultimately return to these smaller communities because they've seen the value in it.
It's like family, like you become a part of their community, and that's something so valuable.
In Augusta, Will Rio on your side.
So what's in it for med students? Well, by joining the program, they're saving at least $60,000 in tuition and school fees.
And this program is just still starting out, so it will take some time to get these students into rotations at medical centers around the state, but could be invaluable for so many of our struggling rural areas.
They are absolutely needed right now.
On your sideline. On your sideline. Sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
The Thompson boys basketball team made it all the way to the Final Four this past season. They relied a lot on youth, starting just one senior. But today, that senior signed on to play college basketball for Edward Waters College. Hydrikas Braswell says he chose Edward Waters because he wanted to go to an HBCU and travel a little bit outside of his hometown. Thompson head coach Michael Thomas says Braswell brought strong leadership to the Bulldogs, serving as the alpha while everyone else filled in their roles. Braswell holds the school record with 44 points in a game and was a McDonald's All-American semifinalist. Not bad for a guy who didn't start playing basketball until he was a teenager.
The players from here really got me started playing basketball. I wasn't really interested in playing basketball, so I came here, and coaches, they were believing in me and working with me every day, so I really just started playing, and I was getting better, and everybody around me was my family, so everybody, we know each other, so really it was easy just getting along and playing on the team.
To baseball news now, Freddie Freeman has reportedly fired his agent just days after returning to Atlanta for the first time since joining the Dodgers in free agency. Sources say Freeman was frustrated with the way things went down with his Braves negotiations, which could have led to the firing. Finally this evening, South Carolina women's basketball player Aaliyah Boston wins the Honda Cup for Top Female College Athlete of the Year. Boston is also nominated for an ESPY in the same category. That's going to be next month. Anthony?
All right, thanks for that, Nick. As we go through the next couple of hours, still watching some heavier rain in Edgefield County, and that moderate shower activity is now starting to move through downtown Augusta. We'll talk more about radar and another check of the 7-day when we come back.